On this edition of The Fifth Estate,
We have a warning for you tonight.
it was General Motors' deadly secret.
What happened to this GM car? Crappy little Cobalt.
Now, a startling look inside the GM culture that put a price on their customers' lives.
GM made a business decision not to fix these safety defects.
The dead Canadians who might have been saved.
He died for a 57-cent piece that should have been fixed over 10 years ago.
And the life or death question, what's Transport Canada doing to protect you?
It's incumbent upon the manufacturer to let Transport Canada know about a defect in a timely fashion.
That's right.
Is it almost a decade and a half in timely fashion?
For General Motors, it all began to go wrong along a stretch of highway in Georgia on March the 10th, 2010. At the wheel of her Chevrolet Cobalt was Brooke Melton, a pediatric nurse outside Atlanta. It was her 29th birthday, and she was driving down this two-lane highway to meet her boyfriend for dinner. When suddenly her car veered across the center line, and an SUV traveling in the opposite direction smashed into the Cobalt, demolishing it. Later that night, Brooke's mother and father, Beth and Ken, were contacted by the local hospital.
And the surgeon got on the phone with me and told me how bad Brooke's accident was and that she would not be able to recover. She had a broken neck, and there was nothing that she could do for her.
The police said her death was a tragic accident caused by a driving error on wet pavement. But Brooke's dad just couldn't bring himself to accept the official story. An engineer from Pensacola, Florida, Hood's specialty is failure analysis, investigating events like bridge collapses and plane crashes. Now his assignment was to explain the mysterious loss of power in the Chevy Cobalt in which Brooke Melton died.
This is an actual ignition switch assembly.
This is how a Cobalt ignition switch works.
Clutch in.
When you insert the key, it turns what's called the ignition columns. At the far end is a part called the detent plunger, which goes up and down like the top of a ballpoint pen. As it does, it rotates the cylinder that moves the ignition from on to accessory. It's that tiny spring-loaded plunger, a 57-cent piece, that determines how easily the key will move. So what was going on inside the Cobalt's ignition switch, causing the older ignitions to let the key slip into the accessory position with such tragic consequences? The plunger from Brooke Melton's ignition, the one that malfunctioned, was infinitesimally shorter than the new part that worked just fine.
And on this card, I taped down a 2005 detent plunger and a new replacement detent plunger, and you can see the difference in length between the two detent plungers.
That disparity is a mere 1.6 millimeters, just the thickness of a quarter, but it literally would be the difference between life and death for Brooke Melton.
What happened to this GM car? 778,000 being recalled of this crappy little Cobalt.
This is CNN Breaking News.
As the story unfolded, GM would exponentially increase the number of recalled vehicles.
Word of a massive recall from General Motors. More than 1 million vehicles are affected, and here's the issue. It's an ignition problem.
And the death toll has kept mounting too, with grieving families gathering outside the embattled company's headquarters in Detroit. General Motors now admits the ignition switch is related to at least 29 fatalities. In all, GM has received claims for over 150 deaths and more than 700 serious injuries. Figures that keep going up.
In April 2014, Mary Barra, the new General Motors CEO, but longtime GM employee, was summoned to Washington, to Capitol Hill, to testify, finally answering questions about the deadly ignition switches that could have been asked, indeed should have been asked, a decade before.
Was there a culture in GM at that time that they would have put cost over safety?
Again, we're doing a complete investigation, but I would say in general, we've moved from a cost culture after the bankruptcy to a customer culture.
Ms. Barra, GM knew about the defect in the ignition switches as far back as 2001, 13 years before the recall, correct? Yes or no will work.
The investigation will tell us that.